If you're going to keep chickens, you need to be aware of a thing called chicken math. This is when you start off with a few chickens, couple chickens, we'll get a couple chickens, and you end up with
26 billion.
26 billion chickens is the current estimate of the number of chickens living on planet Earth. It wasn't always like this. Roughly 6,000 years ago, there weren't any chickens. Chickens I like to call the Adam and Eve chickens are generally considered to be Aseel chickens. The Asil's ancestry is steeped in antiquity. The breed is referred to in the Codes of Manu, an Indian document of law, religion, and philosophy going back for 3,500 years ago is when the first written documentation of a chicken was penned to paper or animal hide, whatever the heck it is they were writing on. So what did we have 7,000 years ago when we didn't have chickens? We had jungle fowl. And it is likely that the origins of chickens occurred roughly the same time period in a variety of areas in India and different parts of Southeast Asia where people had access to jungle fowl. Farmers of the time discovered that they could keep the jungle fowl in captivity, and thus, if they wanted a bird dinner, they didn't have to depend on success at hunting. They could just go out to their bamboo cage and clobber the proto chicken and have it for dinner. They also discovered that these birds served a dual, oftentimes tri or three times purpose. They were useful as meat in the pot. They would lay a fair number of eggs, and there was sport to be found by pitting the males against other males in the pit, which came to be known as cockfighting. So at some point, roughly 6,000 years ago, these farmers discovered that by selectively breeding the hens that laid more eggs with roosters that came from hens that laid more eggs, they were able to produce jungle fowl that laid more eggs. This was very useful, and the jungle fowl not only became a bird that was prized in captivity, but also an object of valuable trade. And over a period of several hundred years, these jungle fowl gradually became chickens. By selective breeding, they changed the morphology, the behavior, and the attributes of the jungle fowl into something that was more useful to them, and we ended up with the Aseel chicken. The ancient descendants of the Aseel were known not only in India, which is considered its country of origin, gradually became known in places such as Thailand, where they became the Thailand game fowl, Japan, where they became the shamu, Vietnam, where they became the ganoi, and eventually England, where they became Old English games. The Aseel bloodline has been remixed back in with modern chickens to produce Cornish game hens and our most popular chicken, the modern meat bird. Aseels are known as Asiatic game fowl or Asiatic hard feathers because they have very short, hard, glossy feathers with an exposed breastbone. Sometimes the back of their head is naked, and the points of their shoulders will be without feathers. They're considered large-boned with broad shoulders, a very handsome upright stance, and it is preferable to have square-shanked legs. They as well have a strong curved neck, longer than a regular chicken, a short, powerful beak. The birds are often described as being rather predatory looking, with a hawk-like brows over their eyes and a small peak comb, small earlobes, and usually no wattles. The tail is carried low, and as opposed to normal chickens where it is fans vertically, it is fans horizontally. Now, while the hens of course do lay eggs, they are not considered prolific egg layers, laying anywhere between a dozen to perhaps 70 or 80. It's more common for them to lay 30 or 40 eggs per year. They are renowned as excellent brooders and esteemed as very protective mothers to their chicks. Some of the common names for Aseel, such as Saranto, refer to golden value, referencing a rooster that was sold to a Raja for its weight in gold. and another one that means sledgehammer, giving reference to having broken a man's wrist with a single blow. And there are hens that are been known to kill hawks and cobras. The modern standard lists Asils as, quote, very vigorous and tenacious survivors. I can attest to their hardiness as I am raising them in Maine, and they seem to survive the cold without issue. They do not have the feed to meat conversion ratio that modern meat birds have, but the meat is especially flavorful, overall darker than a regular chicken, and somewhat chewy, although I would not call it tough. Asil crosses are known to make excellent meat birds. They excel at free ranging, and the birds generally are extremely tame. The cocks are known as being quite docile and easy to handle. They get along well with humans and pets such as dogs, but are fierce combatants to other roosters unless you raise them together. They are a fascinating breed with a long, rich history and a tenacious spirit, lots of character, and are absolutely beautiful birds to have in your flock. I would highly recommend them for their many positive attributes, and pretty much you just have to overlook the fact that they don't lay 300 eggs a year, but they more than make up for it with many other qualities. So I hope you enjoyed these brief facts, and in the future, if you have an opportunity, get your hands on an Adam and Eve chicken.